Before we get started, we'd like to thank Applied Surety Underwriters for sponsoring this episode of Let's Get Surety. Applied Surety Underwriters, an affiliate of United Risk Insurance Agency, LLC, provides contract and commercial surety underwriting services with a consultative approach, helping clients and brokers match the right bond program to each project's unique needs. To learn more about Applied Surety Underwriters, visit appliedsurety.com. Now, on to our show.
You're listening to Let's Get Surety. Let me hear your bonding talk with Kat Shamapande.
Thanks so much for joining me for this episode of Let's Get Surety. I've got with me today my co-host, Mark McCallum, CEO of NASBP. Hey, Mark, thanks for being on.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to this. It's
am
one of
too.
our series where we get to talk to an industry leader.
Yeah, we're
awesome.
excited. We're always
Yeah.
excited to get another
Yep.
installment of our Corner Office series where we get to have conversations with
Right.
surety leaders. And today's conversation is with David Pesce, Head of Surety with Munich Re Specialty, North America.
Hello.
Thanks for being on with us, Dave.
Thanks for having
thank
me.
you.
Appreciate it.
I mean, where do we start? How did you find surety, Dave?
So next month, I'll celebrate 40 years in the surety
Just starting
business.
out in surety.
So yeah, I had hair back then, but it's really an interesting story. I was actually hired by NASA to join the
I don't think I've
astronaut
heard any
training
surety
program.
story. Are you
okay.
kidding?
Not kidding you.
Wow.
my
I was
gosh.
going to go to work at the Goddard Space Flight Center doing orbital calculations for satellites.
Why have I never heard this?
It's out there. While I was going to go through the astronaut training program.
Yeah.
That was December of 1985. In January of 1986, we had a little incident with the space shuttle.
Yeah.
And
I remember that.
really didn't think twice about it until late March when I got a letter from NASA saying, yeah, hiring freeze, sorry, you don't have a job.
Wow.
So
So you
now,
were already hired.
oh yeah, I was already hired, yeah.
my gosh.
So now I had to scramble. So
Yeah.
I started going back up to the campus office for, where they have job interviews and things like that before the internet and everything. So you had
Yeah.
to do it on paper. And
Well,
I
flipping
saw
it.
a company coming in called Seaboard Surety Company.
Okay.
And they were coming in for interviews the following week, and you had to kind of give your resume and everything.
Yeah.
And I had some of the stuff they were looking for. Mostly,
Yeah.
I had a math major and a finance minor.
Okay.
And so that fit the profile. So
Yeah.
I applied to see if they would take me for an interview, and they did. And then a second interview, and then got a job offer and went to work for Seaboard in June of 1986.
That's great. I
So-
think that's definitely the first surety career story that started with NASA, I've heard.
Yeah. But I wasn't going to be a rocket scientist. So.
Well, so you started with Seaboard. What happened from there? How did your
My career's
evolve
been,
from there?
I've moved through a lot of things. I've always been on the company side.
Okay.
I worked for Seaboard, Reliance, Liberty Mutual, Berkeley, Crum and Forster.
Okay.
At one point in time, and then around 2012, I had the opportunity to do a surety startup.
Okay.
Which you don't get too many of those.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
You
true.
would think. So I, as much as I loved working at Berkeley, I was like, this is an opportunity, I'm going to go take it.
Yeah.
I've done 3 of those now since 2012. Munich being my third one, but
Yeah.
it was really fascinating. It was very enjoyable. The first one was more of an acquisition strategy. It
Okay.
kind of didn't work out, but we moved on. I built a small surety department at Navigators.
Okay.
Got purchased, now part of the Hartford.
Yep.
And then Munich Re, who was my lead reinsurer on my 2 startups, came and said, we want to get into primary surety, and we'd like you to come do that here.
Wow.
And I said, yeah, I'll try this one more time.
Yeah.
So hopefully, third time's the charm.
I mean, with that kind of a career, I'm sure you were able to just continually learn, hitting new circumstances and figuring out things along the way.
Yeah, I will tell you this. This is what, when we hire and do trainees and all that kind of stuff, I learn something new every week to every month in this business. I see something I've never seen before. It's what kind of keeps you energized in it.
Yeah.
It's never the same, contract or commercial. You're going to see something in the next 3 weeks you've never seen before.
Well, and
Right.
surety touches so many different things.
Right.
So you're never just really pigeonholed in one tiny area. You get
Right.
to really look into a lot of different things.
Yes, yeah. And I mean, that's the whole thing. And most of my career has been in the Metro New York area where
Yeah.
I live. But I did do almost 8 years with Reliance down in Orlando, Florida. and got to be the first recipient of the local Surety Association Gold Award
Oh,
for the Florida Surety
congratulations.
Association.
That's
I was the
awesome.
president in 1993.
And you got that award. That's
They do a
awesome.
great job.
They always
really
have,
do.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
And we stay active in all that kind of stuff. But it's been really enjoyable. And as you know from some of my past, I'm very involved with CFMA, where we
Yeah.
have a great
Right.
partnership between NASBP and CFMA now. So,
Yeah.
really got to see and meet so many amazing people.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear more about your work with CFMA and other associations and how you've kind of used those volunteer opportunities
Yeah.
throughout your career.
Right. So I started out CFMA. I met a bunch of people. CFMA at one point asked to finally have somebody speak at their national conference on surety.
Yeah.
Right. They never had it
And-
before, but I knew Emilio Alvarez and a few
Oh,
other
yeah.
people
Right.
with CFMA,
Yep.
John Corcoran. They were good friends of mine. They said, will you come do the presentation? And so I've done, 14, 15 national conferences at CFMA on various surety topics.
Yeah.
Then I got involved in committees
Yeah.
with CFMA and ultimately was the head of the certification division.
Oh,
So
okay.
CFMA has the CCIFP, the Certified Construction Industry Financial Professional. I encourage every contract surety underwriter out there to
Right.
look into it.
Yeah.
You need to be about 5 years or more in the business to qualify for it. I saved myself from a $6 million claim
Really?
by having this designation.
Well,
That's a pretty good endorsement right there.
But I've been involved with them for 13, 14 years now.
Yeah.
I did my officership rotation through NAIS, the independent sureties, and now I'm also on the private company council for FASB.
Okay.
We did a podcast last year.
Yeah.
That's
Tell me more. What is FASB?
So FASB,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
FASB is the accounting setting standards for the United States,
Right.
GAAP,
Yep.
generally accepted
Yep.
accounting principles. FASB
Yeah.
sets them. But years ago, FASB came to realize that they set them for publicly traded companies, and they're not really always applicable for private companies.
Right.
Right. So they formed a council called the Private Company Council. So whenever FASB is going to do a new accounting regulation, they then take it to the Private Company Council and say, "What do you guys think? Is this going to work for private companies or
Yeah.
not?" David Lomax from Liberty Mutual was the first representative of the surety industry.
Yeah.
They want surety people on this panel because we represent the users of the
Yeah.
financial statements. I'm on it for another year and a half, and we already have a volunteer or
Oh,
two
that's
from
great.
the surety industry who've applied to be my replacement
So
on
it'll-
the
the
council.
surety voice
So
will
we'll
still
keep a
be
surety
there.
voice on
Excellent.
there, and the individual's very good that's applied. I don't want
Yeah.
to give any names,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
I'm
Don't let
very,
the cat in the
very,
bag
yeah,
yet,
very
yeah.
happy,
But that's
we
good.
got it. And we actually did that. We were coordinating with SFAA
Yeah.
also and bringing this stuff up. Like as we've had meetings between NASBP and the Private Company Council, we had one with SFAA, and they got a volunteer at it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's great, and we're still working on it now. There's some stuff coming up. I have a meeting a week after the next Private Company Council meeting, and there's some things that are going to touch the surety industry
Yeah.
in a positive way. So more disclosures and financial statements.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I've just always liked to do it. I was an avid public speaker for surety.
Yeah.
I started giving contractors, especially, our little secret sauce, right?
Yeah.
Way back when CFMA was like, no one knows what you do with a whip.
Yeah.
So for maybe 10 years now, I've done how a surety uses a whip.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a presentation. I've used it a number of times and things like that, just to take it so contractors could understand not just why we're doing it, but what we do with it.
Yeah.
Right.
And why it's meaningful and everything. So
Take the mystery out of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and done plenty of industry updates and things like that, particularly when there's issues. You
Yep.
go back to 2007, 2008, 2009. Everybody wanted an industry update.
Right.
Right now, nobody really wants it. Industry's doing great.
But it's so important to get that education out there so
Yeah.
people can better understand surety.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's been great. Yeah,
Yeah.
CFA, and I've spoken at AGC, ERMI, and all the others because now they've come to the realization how big our industry is, how meaningful our industry is, how important our industry is, and then wanting to get education out there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about Munich Re. So
Yeah.
that it's a unique situation.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks of them in a different capacity.
Right.
Now
Right.
they're a primary. And so
Yeah,
tell us about that experience.
So Munich Re, now about 6 or 7 years ago, the company started to continue to build out and build up a primary insurance operation, the largest reinsurer on the planet. And we always had some primary insurance, and they realized we really need to balance the portfolio.
Okay.
So in North America, they formed Munich Re Specialty North America, took the primary lines that they wrote, wrap them in, and then put a 5 to 10 year business plan out of additional lines of business we're going to be entering. We're mostly a wholesale and specialty market.
Yeah.
And so surety was always on the plate. When they made the decision to get in, as I said earlier, they were my lead reinsurer on number of treaties, and so they approached me and said, would you like to do this one more time? So, and we're a middle to large market contract and commercial surety.
Okay.
We've got decent capacity, and like a few of our peers that are also reinsurers and surety and have the primary operations, most people said, oh, geez, it's about time. We thought you'd do this years ago when everyone else did it. So, but no, it's been great. You've had to build out infrastructure from scratch. People forget, you take for granted something as simple as power of attorney.
Oh,
you got to take that form and get it approved by the board of directors.
Yeah.
It has to go to an actual board meeting.
Yeah.
So there's all these little things, building the systems and tying it at the downstream, and so it's a lot more than just underwriting. So it's been a lot of fun doing all that.
I bet talent was a big consideration for you, and how did you address that?
Well, first we were able to hire a team, right? So they came over and brought a book of business with them, and that gave us a nice kickstart. But we try to be. I've been doing this a long time. I have a lot of friends in the business. I try to not step on any toes when I can. But there's a talent war out there. I'm sure you guys have talked to many others about it. And so it's been hard to hire talent. And we hear it from all my peers. Our last opening, it took us 8 months to fill it.
Really?
Wow.
But I will say this, we and many others that I continue to hear about are starting training programs again.
Are you?
Yeah, so we have our first trainee starting next month.
Okay.
Right, fresh out of college.
Nice.
And we're going to continue to do it going forward.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more then, maybe about your culture, your unique culture at Munich Re.
So we are a little different in that we're not in that traditional big home office model.
Right.
Okay.
And this is part of why I wanted to do this, right?
Yeah.
With technology today, I can see everything, anything I want to see off my iPhone or my iPad almost instantly.
Yeah.
Right. So it becomes this question of, if your best underwriters are out in the field, do you need somebody really questioning them day to day? Some believe in that model, and I'm not saying that model is wrong.
Right.
But we are also not trying to be the biggest surety in the United States of America by any stretch in any of our long-term business plans. We want to build a nice, profitable surety operation that matches up with Munich Re's focus of profit over premium.
Yeah.
Right. Even our CEO just had our Q1 earnings call.
Yeah.
And he said in that call, he's like, listen, we just had the record first quarter net income in the history of Munich Re, $2 billion.
Yeah.
And our stock price went down because we walked away from risks we didn't want to be on anymore on the reinsurance side. So we had a decrease in written premium.
Right.
Okay.
And it de-risked the portfolio, but the investment community didn't like that we didn't hit a revenue target. But this company is a profit over premium company. So there's a lot less pressure. There's a lot more pressure to look at the bottom line.
Right.
And make sure, if as I said to my underwriters, like if the hair on the back of your neck sticks up a little bit while you're looking at it, just say no. Like we don't need $100,000 worth of premium at a risk profile that's not really in our appetite. And so we're a little selective. We're selective in who we do business with, but we'll be here, we'll be around. We're continuing to grow in both contract and commercial.
And that's what I would, when hearing you say that, it sounds like you're in for the long view, the long term.
That's Munich Re. And they're balancing the portfolio globally.
Okay.
Right. It's not just the U.S. The U.S. surety operation was the first.
Yeah.
We, in the next few weeks, will be opening a European surety operation.
Oh, okay.
In the fall of last year, we opened a small Australian operation. And we will be looking at other parts of the globe in the coming 5 to 10 years. Wow. So, to your point, it's absolutely a long-term play.
Yeah.
And we've been the largest surety reinsurer for many times over the years. They love the line of business, and they understand that as a specialty insurer, that's a specialty line.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
well, it certainly seems like there are opportunities globally.
Yes.
Domestically certainly, but also globally. Maybe tell us a little bit more about where you see international surety.
Well, we started in Europe mostly because of what's known as Basel V, right? So that was the new banking regulations that started to restrict how the banks allocate capital to the surety product in Europe, which is more written by banks than it is by insurance companies at that time. Basel V also requires when you're ceding risk off as a bank, so if the bank writes the bond and they've gonna cede it off, just almost like facultative reinsurance,
Right.
the credit ratings of the underlying cedents come into play. So the banks started knocking on Munich Re's door because of our credit ratings and said, we need you guys in.
Yeah.
So we'll be opening up. It's a middle to large account market over there, construction, solar, renewables, a few things like that. We'll have offices in Spain, Germany, and Italy to open.
Oh, okay.
So just about ready to go.
It sounds like there's a lot of growth then right now with Munich Re.
Yeah,
Yeah.
globally. And again, this is just part of it. We're growing in other lines of business
Yeah.
in the US and North America and in the EU through our global markets division. So, but it's a very slow, steady growth. We're very careful about which lines we get in, when and where.
Yeah.
We're very careful to make sure that we don't make our cedents mad.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So, and it's the right approach. You know, when I was hired here in the U.S., they told the reinsurance division this was coming, and gave them an opportunity to talk to all of their cedents and make sure this was not going to be at risk to them.
Yeah.
Like as I said earlier, about 90% of the response was, well, we figured you were going to do it someday.
Yeah.
So, okay. And that was that. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you were talking about that growth, and before that you'd mentioned the difficulty with hiring. Are you looking at hiring any differently now with the...
Well, the difference I'll say is I'm willing to wait.
Okay.
Right? Back in the past, you always had a lot of pressure to like, oh, geez, somebody quit. I need to replace them really quickly.
Immediately,
Like
yeah.
I got to get somebody in there, and then you would start to, not get enough resumes in, and you'd say,
Yeah.
all right, well, you know what? I wasn't sure, but I'll take that individual there.
Yeah.
What we've seen now is it's better to sit and wait. It's better to sit and wait and get the right talent at the right time. And 8 months is a long time to have an
I
empty,
know, it's
an
great.
empty head count.
Yeah.
I've had to step back in. It was a commercial surety position. I've had to step back in and start handling like small commercial surety accounts just so that we could keep up with the workload. But,
Is that part of what makes it fun to do what you do, though? Is
well,
being
yeah.
able to
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That is. Like, it was fun for me to get back into day-to-day underwriting, talking to agents and brokers directly.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we want to keep doing business with you. I'm like, no, I have this other day job over here that I got to go do. This has been a lot of fun, but I've got a new hire. You're going to love this person. They're very talented. We're really excited, and let me make the introductions. And when I'll see you at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, what got you here? Are there any other trends in surety that people should be aware of?
Yeah, I mean the biggest thing, and it's we set this up a few weeks ago, and every single meeting I've had here, the topic of co-surety and shared surety has been brought up. Okay, and I think there's a lot more of it now, and it's really the result of the economic growth and the sizes of projects and the sizes of backlogs. It's come into focus at the reinsurance level because of claims paid, right? So we've had a couple of large claims on shared surety and co-surety programs, and the reinsurance community and others have realized, hey, we didn't know there was that much risk aggregation on these programs. So, to me, I think educating people back again on what they are, what the differences are, right? Co-surety. Co-surety is where one or more sureties group together and participate on, say, a contractor's program. Co-surety is primarily used in contract surety. Okay. But every bond, let's just say you have 3 sureties. Every bond has all 3 sureties on the face of the bond, joint and several. In the background is a co-surety side agreement where we make our agreements. We pick one person to be the lead surety who manages the account, manages the claims, but every one of us gets our underwriting. We get claims notification. There's a lot of transparency in it, and you need that in contract surety, right? Because payment bond claims alone, handling it could be paid. Now, on the commercial surety side, shared surety has been around forever. And the commercial, because of the way the Claims Act and everything, you can do it. Shared surety is you might have 5 participants on it, and we each write our own bonds. Okay, and we might even agree to say, listen, I'll write these classes, but not these classes, and someone else will write these. But everybody's not on the face of the bond. And again, that works in commercial surety because of the nature of the claims and the claims management, right? You're not dealing with completing contractors. You're not dealing with the construction laws and the lien laws and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's a different scenario.
Yeah, for lack of a better term, it gets a little bit more cut and dry.
Yeah.
Right. You either owe the claim or you don't. You do your due diligence, and when you do, you pay it and move on. You're not going to be in this big litigation. Well, over the last maybe 5 or 6 years, there's been a little mix-up in some of that. Right?
Oh, really?
And so there's been a proliferation of the use of shared surety on contractors.
Okay.
Mostly in the private equity arena.
Okay.
Right.
Is there a reason you see for that? Do you see?
Well, yeah. I mean, usually what you've got is you have limitations on who you can co-surety with, because again, you take a company like us and any of the other reinsurers, you might have risk aggregation to another insurance carrier across many lines of business.
Yeah.
So political risk, trade credit, and surety are always grouped together at every reinsurer, right? But that's because they're very similarities. So you could have a huge trade credit exposure aggregated up to one insurer.
Yeah.
And then you reach your risk tolerance, right?
Yeah.
So shared surety, you're not sitting there joint and several on a bond. It's just you and your bonds, and you write them, and you're not exposed to them on it, right? But like I said, that works in commercial. It doesn't really work in contract, because now what happens is I've got my contract bonds, and you've got your contract bonds, and he's got his contract bonds, and he's getting all the claim notices. He's under no obligation to tell me anything, because we don't have a co-surety side agreement.
Oh, okay.
I mean, and so he's got his claims in first.
Yeah.
And now he realizes this thing's going down. I'm going to protect myself.
Right.
So he runs out. He gets his indemnity agreement filed. He starts doing claims work, and then a month later, my stuff starts doing the claim.
Yeah, it gets to hit. Yeah.
Right. And now we're competing forces.
Right.
Right. When we should be sitting there saying, okay, let's collectively get completing
together,
contractors to do all this together.
Yeah.
Right.
It just doesn't work that way. I think it can be done, if you have the right players and the right agreements on the side, even if they're verbal, to say, listen, if we find it, we're all going to agree in writing here on an email that this is how we're going to handle it.
Yeah.
But it's not being done that way right now. Every reinsurance meeting I've had for the last few months, the first question, how much co-surety do you do? How much shared surety do you do? Can you tell us the details? I'm hearing from all my peers the same things. Yeah. Because with these claims that were out there, some of the sureties themselves didn't even know there were that many other sureties on the program.
Really?
They didn't ask, and that's a little bit on you, but they also didn't tell.
Yeah.
And I don't like don't ask, don't tell. Actually, just give me the info, and I'll deal
decide.
with it, right? An interesting dynamic is going on now. So since this is all happening, everyone's starting to ask, hey, give me all the lists of the broker, all the sureties and the participants, how much commitment they've made, how much is in use. Give me a bond run so I can see who's on this account.
Yeah.
And how much they actually have in force and where it is. Right?
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. That's going to be a very good thing for the industry. It'll get driven by the reinsurers as we come to the 7/1 renewals. It's being driven, and when we get to the 12 ones, it'll be driven again. But it'll bring the transparency back to shared surety.
Yeah.
Even if it's used in contract, it'll bring the transparency back, and then we'll settle in again.
Yeah.
I don't think they're not bad actors. It's no one doing anything intentionally bad.
Right.
It got pushed, and it became so common that we all kind of went to sleep on it a little bit. So,
and the fact that maybe the driving forces for this are going to continue into the future as projects get larger and
absolutely
all the infrastructure.
And even when you
needs.
look at where shared surety is being used tremendously right now is in the renewable energy market.
Yeah.
Right. The solar developers need billion-dollar programs.
Right.
Yeah.
And no surety wants to take all billion.
Right.
But I want to take 100 million of it, 200 million of it, and I want to participate because these are good companies, good principles, good rights, low risk. But I just want to be careful of my aggregation in any one industry.
Right.
You're doing your whole portfolio management. So you're writing good bonds, good risks. One bad apple, one bad claim, and everybody went to panic mode. And we've seen this in like I said, 40 years. This ain't the first time I've seen panic mode.
This isn't your first rodeo,
I haven't
Dave.
seen panic mode, but panic mode always typically generates reset, better,
kind of
and off we go.
Thoughtful approach is
off we go.
discretion.
So, and so that's like the biggest thing we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
And private equity becomes item number 2, but that's being very well addressed. I know you guys done some great seminars on what's
Private
going on in that
equity,
arena.
yeah.
The private equity people that are out there are finally come to the realization of, hey, if I'm going to buy a contractor, I better deal with the surety before I buy it, not after.
Any tips on indemnity when dealing with private equity?
Yeah, you're not going to get it. Yes.
I thought I'd try.
Yeah. Well, my tip on that is, first of all, underwrite the private equity group that's investing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
There are private equity groups whose history is get in, get out, get my money out, and I don't care about
Right.
anybody else.
Yeah.
There are private equity groups that get in, work with all the creditors, understand that there's other exposures, try to help mitigate that. Open, again, transparency, open communication. Know which one you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Right.
And don't deal with a guy who you know is going to flip this in 3 years if he wants 4-year bonds.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
you know, so you manage that, but we've had a number of conversations with private equity people, and I've said this to them. It's just diverging interest.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not you have your business model is to make money, buying a company,
Yeah.
growing it, and selling it. That's
Yeah.
great, but you're asking me to write $100 million worth of surety obligations that have 3-year tenors,
Yeah.
and you want to flip it anytime in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a diverging interest. So if
Yeah.
you better understand what we are up against, you'll better understand why you're having so much trouble getting. And I've had a number of conversations with, and they're starting to get it.
You think that education is helping?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I hope so.
Hopefully they'll listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
I'll email it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, so I mean, those are probably the two biggest things that we're up against
Yeah.
today. You know, and balancing all that is,
Yeah.
they're the issues.
Thinking of your 40 years of experience, Dave, if you were to look out into the future, if you had a crystal ball, what do you see coming down the road for surety?
Well, so actually, and I just had this conversation, right? I actually think even 26 and 27 are going to be very good years for the industry. I really do. And again, I think we had a little bump in the road, so there's a bit of focus.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's another focus on risk aggregation that has settled off after the Enron risk aggregation issue,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So that focus is back. And risk aggregation monitoring is a good thing for our whole industry, right? And spreading the risk across the industry. It'll allow other players to get opportunities that maybe they didn't get a year or so ago.
Right.
And so I see that. I do see, again, you follow the construction industry enough and the construction economy and honor bond and everything, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's not great, but it's not that bad. But it'll get,
still solid.
Yeah, Infrastructure Act's going away. Let's see what happens economically. At some point in time, interest rates will come back down. They'll never get back down to 3%
Right.
home mortgages, right? But it'll get back down. The
As sad as that
developers will
makes
step
all of
back.
us.
Yeah. But you look at the population. It's just as simple to me as this. You look at the population growth, the shift in where they're going, right?
Yeah.
You look at the millennial generation who's now said, yeah, I don't want to rent an apartment anymore. I want to buy a house.
Yep.
I want some equity. I want to raise a family, and I want to do it over here in the suburbs.
Yeah.
Well, and so they expand out to there. What do you need? Roads, bridges, sewer.
Yep.
You need supermarkets,
Schools, libraries.
schools, libraries, fire departments.
Yep.
It all has to follow. Well,
Yeah.
we're at this kind of cusp of everybody's moving and the stuff hasn't gotten there yet. But when you look at, Lowe's and Home Depot and these major retailers and their plans, and you go like, okay, we're going to be good.
Yeah.
Right? Construction will be okay.
Yeah.
We're going to do our little lag, but nowhere near. And now when you look at the economics, the construction hiring is picking up.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. So the unemployment rate in construction has actually gone down in Q1, according to 2 reports I recently read.
Yeah.
It's not a lot, but it's not going up anymore. So it's settling and starting to come down with it, right? So now labor becomes less of an issue.
Yeah.
So a lot of good signs in it for 2026 and 2027,
Right.
public and private. So
great.
And then again, in the commercial, the focus on renewable energy is generating a whole new market for surety.
Right.
True, yeah.
Right? It's generating opportunities we didn't have before. It's generating revenues, and it's generating, in most cases, pretty good risk. Our little hiccup over here was one bad player in a very good industry.
Right.
Right. So let's push that one aside.
Yeah.
We learned our lesson, hopefully, but don't punish these guys over
entire
here. They're doing it
industry,
right,
yeah.
and then we'll do our part right.
Yeah.
And we'll move on. And I just continue to see that
Yeah.
renewable energy is going to be a big deal.
If you're talking to someone who is thinking about getting into surety, What would you tell them?
Oh,
Why should they?
I'm going to make my joke. We can always edit it, okay? But I tell them, if you want to play the best golf courses and eat at the best restaurants in the United States, you need to be in the surety industry.
Industry.
But no, really, again, when we have one trainee coming on board, we have this other trainee who's been in a different program within Munich Re who's joining us. But it's not the same thing every day, right? Just to me, and I have a lot of exposure to the other lines, to be a property underwriter, it's a lot of the same. It's the same thing every day, right?
Yeah.
It's here's a building here. Here's a company with 5 buildings. I got to do my risk analysis on the fire potential and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But it becomes quote bind issue, quote bind issue, quote bind issue, right? And we always say surety is out of scope because we don't quote, we don't bind, and we don't issue.
And things are different.
Yeah, and
things are different every day.
Every single financial statement is different. Every single contractor is different. Every single commercial company is different.
Yeah.
The personalities that are in those companies, the agents and brokers you get to meet out there over the course of 40 years. It's why my wife is here with me, and that she's always like, "Geez, you know so many people."
Yeah.
To me, that's great.
Yeah,
I know
that is.
so many people, and I have so many friends. And been to people's weddings and their kids' weddings and all that kind of stuff over the years, and you don't see that in the insurance side. At least I don't.
Yeah.
So I encourage people to say, if you want to be on Wall Street, but not be on Wall Street with that, this is where you need to come.
This is where you should come.
Because we are financial analysts.
Yeah.
We are credit analysts. We are lawyers.
Yeah.
We are marketing people. All wrapped up into
types,
one job.
Yeah. Well, you haven't hit on one thing, and having this conversation, your start in NASA makes complete sense to me. You are an explorer.
Yeah.
And a surety career is an exploration career.
Oh, that's
and
great.
I think it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. The whole thing was 1 in every 100 people brought into the astronaut training program ever actually go to space.
Right.
So my chances of going to space were pretty slim to begin with.
Yeah.
So you never know.
But you found your exploration.
Yeah. And again, just stumbled into this industry.
As so many did.
As so many did, never heard of it.
Yeah.
And had to go to the library and start doing research on what it was because there was no computers.
Yeah.
I got in BC. My friends know I
Before computers. That's great. Dave, it has been so nice having you on, just chatting about your
great.
career.
I always love to join you guys and, again, try to help people out there. We really hope that, some of the agents and brokers that, we're starting to see shared surety programs move away from the large agents and brokers and into the regional people. And so they're not as educated in it. And I just encourage them, like, hey, find an underwriter that's been doing a lot of this, talk to them about what you need to do and not do and watch out for.
Right.
And we'll all be fine.
Yeah.
Even we just told one of our reinsurers, we're all going to be fine.
Yeah.
I know you guys took a little bit of a hit, but you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And we're going to be fine. In this industry, you'll make your money back pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me.
If you're listening and your NASA program has fallen through for you, we've got a place for you in Surety.
Come to Surety.
Dave's an example of that.
Come to Surety.
Come
Thanks
to
again.
Surety.
Enjoy it every time.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks.
You've been listening to Let's Get Surety, brought to you by the National Association of Surety Bond Producers. For more information about the NASBP and its members, visit nasbp.org.
Before we go, we'd like to thank Applied Surety Underwriters again for their generous support in sponsoring this episode of Let's Get Surety. As part of the United Risk Organization, Applied Surety Underwriters helps clients and brokers find the right bond program for every project through a personalized, consultative approach. To learn more, visit appliedsurety.com.